They tell me Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. He's a strange guy. But that's not why I called this meeting of the 5 families. The Tahaklias, the Bonettis, the others. The reason I called you all together is this. As godfather of the Gorleone family, I say it's time that we and organized crime stop fighting each other. I want there to be peace amongst us. I want there to be a whole lot of pieces. Which is kind of like the young man in tonight's tale. He wants a whole lot of something too. And a nasty nugget I call smoke rings.
Ready for you on the 8th floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Allow me.
Oh, thank you.
Do you work here, love?
Yes, I do. Come in.
Do you know the word I use to describe this? Essential. Look, I know it's just toothpaste, but I like to think that what I'm going after is a total lifestyle.
To me, it says, feel me, taste me, be me.
Look,
And having been with the same agency for 8 years,
don't get me wrong.
For the millennium.
I feel a great need to expand my creativity. Well, not expand creativity, but to stretch it.
New York is great. I just need a break.
Philistine would call it yellow. I like to think it's been kissed by buttercups. I won an award in Korea for it.
Every agency there is like wall-to-wall assholes.
I'll be honest with you, Miss Edwards. I haven't got a portfolio. And even if I did have one, I wouldn't show it to you. Well, it's all crap, isn't it? I bet you've been sitting here for hours looking at portfolios filled with inane cack. And the people, you wouldn't have them wipe your ass for you, never mind create advertising.
Have you ever worked in advertising before?
Every bloody day of my life.
I meant in an agency.
Does it matter?
Well, it kind of helps, yeah.
Even if that's not what you're looking for.
Oh, really? What am I looking for?
For yourself? Someone who's got what you've got. Same swagger. Same ass-kicking, rip-the-fucking-walls-down attitude that sets you apart from the rest of the fucking herd.
So, you've never worked in an agency before, you've got no portfolio, and the only thing you do have to show for yourself is a set of giant-sized brass balls. What you say your name was?
Barry. Barry Manners.
Hello. It's nice to meet you, Barry.
Barry just joined us today, and I thought I'd throw him right into the deep end.
I hope you don't mind, Ellen, do you?
I mind. Ellen, nice to see you.
Hello, Frank.
Now, we've got a lot to talk about, so if you don't mind, I'd like to get down to business.
Fine. Let's get down to business.
Now, in the 5 years that we've been handling your account, Ellen, we've managed to keep the profile of your chocolates at a consistently high level. But we're beginning to feel the campaign's looking a little bit old-fashioned. Now, this is a computer-generated fractal of Chalmers chocolate packaging. jumps out of the background. It's modern. It's stylish. It's funky.
Excuse me. I know I'm the new kid here, but, is this really the best we can do?
Sorry about the salad. This is incredible.
Incredible's the last thing this is. I mean, the idea's bad enough. Talk about boring. Look at this artwork. What is it?
It's a fractal.
You have a better idea, Barry.
No, not at the moment. But I do know this. Your company needs a much more sophisticated approach than what we're offering you. I mean, what sort of drugs were you on when you did this? When people look at this, they're not going to want a nice jockey. They're going to want to vomit. I'm not the only person to be thinking that. Am I?
Well, actually, I think Barry's got a point.
I've never been so embarrassed in my entire life.
Frank, relax. I've talked to Ellen. It's going to be all right.
Oh, right. How the hell am I going to face her?
Well, the fractal... No, sorry. No, you can't. In the last 5 years, we've not done badly by her.
I can't believe you didn't fire that little shit. I would have done. Right on the spot.
Look, Frank, I'll talk to him, okay? And if he ever does that to you again...
To me? Bloody hell, Jacqueline. What he did to the company. Not to me.
You're right. Absolutely right. And I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Now, you still want to come by later on tonight?
Well, I'd love to, but you know, I gotta think of something to replace those computer graphics. Maybe tomorrow.
So how long have you been standing here? Close it.
Look, I know what you're going to say.
You've got Frank running scared. It's brilliant. It's the best thing that could have happened to him. Everything you said about him today is true. He is boring in everything he does.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that.
Not half as sorry as I am. Maybe we need a change. Mind you, you haven't shown me yet whether you can deliver the goods. Think you can prove yourself by tomorrow morning?
By tomorrow? Yeah. I think I can come up with a few thoughts.
I don't want thoughts. I want genius.
You! Where are you going, mate? You do that again, I'm gonna smash your face!
How'd it go today? You get the job?
She bought it. Just like you said she would.
And you know why she bought it? Because that's exactly what she said to me when I hired her.
I can believe it. I'm not surprised she stole your company away from you, Alistair.
That's Mr. Touchstone to you. You see this little microchip? This creates a sound wave that permeates the subconscious, opening the mind to the power of suggestion of, say, a particular advertisement.
Just give me the rest of my money, okay?
You remember what I asked you when I found you? I asked what scares you. You remember what you said?
Going back to prison.
There was something else scares you. What was it, Barry? Was it rats?
No.
Amazing, isn't it? The power of suggestion. You put an idea into somebody's head or a sudden desire for something, and that's all they can think about.
Amazing. Bloody amazing.
And what about that idea we tossed around a while back? Famous chocolate lovers in history. What about that?
No.
Mm. Or the supermodels talking about their first time.
Suppose it could be fun.
Mm.
I remember the nuts.
Bite me, it said.
I love the creamy bit.
Morning, all. Do you mind if I cut in, Frank? That is, if you've finished wasting Jacqueline's time.
Now listen, you little shit.
Actually, Frank is onto something.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's absolutely brilliant, but this is better. What do you think?
What is this? A joke?
Frankly, I don't think a little friend does jokes. I don't think he does much of anything at all.
This is your idea of genius.
Hey, man.
I took the liberty of trying this out on a few of our other clients' products.
God, I love this stuff. Mm. God, that's delicious. Mm. It's great with the chocolate.
And this.
I love this stuff. No.
I know if my
Give it to me.
collar.
Let me. Never, never.
doing?
Let me do this. I always want to do this. God, it smells so good.
And this product.
Suffering bitch.
You worm! Get on your knees!
Get up on me.
Take off your fucking pants! I'm gonna hide one!
Just stop this, okay? Just... okay. I don't know how you're doing this, but it's just crap. You understand? It's crap.
Do you think it's crap? Christ! I think it's brilliant. Oh, wow. God. Tamara, get me Ellen Jameson on the phone now.
Would you like to try some of this chocolate? I think Thomas, madam. Sir, madam. Sir.
Amazing.
No thanks.
I'd like to have seen the look on Jacqueline's face.
You know, I'm beginning to like this advertising business. I think I'll keep my hand in when all this is finished.
Oh, yeah?
One thing bothers me, though. When I had this device on, everybody else was going nuts for chocolate. Why didn't I?
You like chocolate?
No.
There you have it. The device doesn't change behavior, just heightens what's already there. Which is exactly what the next step entails. Heightening what you've already started.
Well, I think they're all right.
Yeah. I think they suck.
These are no different to the photos we've been using.
The difference is these photos suck.
Well, why don't you go and find some bloody pictures, huh?
Jacqueline, I think it's time we told Frank what we want.
Well, actually, Frank, what I want is for Barry to head the Chalmers chocolate account from now on.
What? I've been working on this account for years. Christ, I was the one who brought it in.
Yeah, but right now, Barry's the one who can keep it here.
I don't believe you. And what happens when that stupid little gadget breaks down or it starts wearing off? What are you going to do then?
Frank, I'm sorry. I know it's sudden, but I've made up my mind.
Oh, what am I supposed to do? Work under him?
No, you're not.
You're sacking me. You're sacking me? Chris, I was the one who got this agency back on its feet after Alistair left. Me, not him, me.
Clear out your desk, Frank. Now.
With pleasure.
Took that rather well, I thought.
Didn't put up much of a fight at all, did he?
I have a feeling he knew it was coming. As the new head of the Chalmers account, I say we celebrate it.
Right. I could use a drink. I go get my coat. You don't waste any time. You little bastard.
It won't make you do anything you don't want to.
Why don't we take this back to my place?
That's a fine idea.
That's good.
Shit.
I'm ready.
So am I.
Barry?
I know this might be a little ungrateful, but I have a message from your ex-partner.
You know Alistair?
Quite well. And his message is... drop dead.
Where are you? Eddie? That you? Did Frank kill Jacqueline?
Not exactly.
Oh my God. You did it.
No. You did it. Well, that's what the police will think when they find you.
Come here!
Actually, the police won't think that at all. They think you killed Jacqueline, which of course is exactly what you did. Looks like you go back to prison after all.
Back!
You're right. The silent version is much more powerful.
Much more powerful. He took every suggestion we gave him.
What did he say?
Something about the police, I think. Barry, there are no police. It's all in your mind.
That's easy for him to say. More importantly, what does Ellen think? Is our most demanding client happy?
That was the most amazing presentation I've ever seen. And the account is still yours.
Let's celebrate with a drink.
Yes, yes, yes.
Suddenly, I'm dying for one.
Come on, let's go and get something to eat. I find this incredible restaurant.
Right, you always know the smartest places.
I guess Barry didn't realize the ad campaign would be his. Still, it's good to see that he's grown into the job. So, everyone agrees to the truce, except you. You know what that means, don't you? It means I have to kill you. Take that! That's why they call me the offer you can't refuse. My boo thinks I'm a vampire, so she eats garlic just in case. Man, she smells. Yeah, my ghoul thinks I'm a vampire. Laughs at me when we embrace. I said, babe, I'm no bloodsucker. Wipe that smile right off her face. Yeah, thank you very much. Now I'd like to play for you another little rhythm and booze decomposition of mine. It's about a man who's about to make a gourd progression of his own. And a nasty five-finger haxercise I call About Face.
You have sinned.
I've sinned.
But in sinning, you have made it possible for God to truly love you.
Look, Emma, I want to know who did this to you. I know when I took you in, I said I didn't care, but I want to know who did this.
Accept his love. Feel it coursing through you.
Was it the man who you worked for, love?
It must remain sacred. It must remain between us.
Oh, God! It's coming!
I can feel God smiling on us.
I can feel the baby breathing!
And he is smiling! So that the question that we should be asking ourselves is not what is good or evil, but rather how do they appear? For it is the appearance of evil, rather than its actual presence, which causes us to fear it the most. Yes. Well, it does possess a certain poetry, does it not?
Yes, indeed.
Let's hope it sells as well as my first book. You did say that it's doing quite well down at the booksellers, Gordon?
Selling quite well, Reverend.
Good, good. Well, we shall have to go over all those lecture bookings once more.
Not disturbing you, I hope?
Not at all. Gordon was just telling me that my book is finding its readers.
How nice. Jonathan, there's someone here to see you.
Well, you know very well that I never see anyone without an appointment, Sarah, so tell them to come back another day.
I think you ought to see this person now. Alone.
It's quite all right, Reverend. I've got a lot of work to do. Oh, do you still want me to arrange for you to see Miss Pilchard today, the new secretary?
Another one. So soon.
Sometime this afternoon might be convenient, Gordon. Thank you. I shall not even dignify what you're implying with an answer, other than this. If I am to complete yet another book and keep pace with my lecture tours, I need another secretary.
Another secretary like the last one, and you won't have any more books or lectures.
I told you, nothing happened. Now, what is all this? Who is this that wants to see me?
You tell me. She says she's your daughter.
Angelica, sir.
Angelica? Well, now, what a pretty name. Do sit down.
Thank you.
Now, what on earth makes you think that I could possibly be your father?
The woman who took care of us always said you were. Our mother told her.
Our mother? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I have a twin sister, sir.
Oh, two of you? Oh, how charming.
I appreciate, miss, you may well have been told certain things, but the fact of the matter is...
Our mother used to work here, sir, as a maid. When she was with child, she was forced to leave.
A maid?
Yes, I remember her. She was called Emma. Surely you haven't forgotten her, Jonathan.
Where is your mother now? What happened to her?
She died after giving birth to us. Until now, we've been looked after by the woman who took her in. But she's not been well herself, and said the time had come to seek our father's love and assistance.
Don't you think it's time we stopped beating about the bush? What is it you really want? Hmm? Come on, out with it.
I want nothing except to know my father and to love him.
And your sister?
Well, I cannot speak for her. But the truth of the matter is, we have nowhere else to go.
Would you mind waiting outside just for a moment?
You have done it now. We are finished.
Don't be ridiculous. Who's going to believe them? A couple of whores brought up by some charwoman?
I wasn't talking about them. I was talking about me. I have had quite enough.
Oh, really, Sarah? I should have thought that by now my dalliances meant absolutely nothing to you.
They do mean nothing. To be honest, I have never missed sleeping with you. But I cannot bear waiting for the inevitable while you put everything we have at risk.
Nothing is at risk, provided we're together on this. All my life, I've worked to cultivate an image so that I might use that image to spread the word of the Lord.
Really, Jonathan, I am not interested.
The word of the Lord has done perfectly well for you, my dear. You bring me down now, and we lose everything. Are you prepared for that? I say that we send this girl away. What does it matter what she says? What's important is what my readers see in me, and all those congregations throughout the land, all of whom yearn for a voice to lead them. I am that voice. That's what matters. Unless...
What?
There's another way. Would you come in, please? Angelica, my beloved daughter, I want you to go and get your sister and bring her here. From this moment, my house is yours.
Jonathan?
Do you mean it, sir?
Papa. To you, I am Papa.
I shall bring my sister back immediately. Papa.
What in God's name have you just done?
A family. It's the perfect image.
And where shall we say they came from?
Oh, I don't know. Let's say that we adopted them. What greater act of goodness is there? Hmm? So, do you like it?
I love it, Papa.
Good, I'm glad. Well, I think it's time I met your sister. Do you know, I don't even know her name.
Leia.
Leia! How interesting. Well, where is she? Is she in the room next door?
Yeah, but she's locked herself in the bathroom.
Well, why on earth would she do that? What's wrong?
Leia's different. She's troubled.
About what?
She believes that you abandoned us.
Well, I didn't even know that you existed.
Yes, I know that, but Leia hasn't forgiven you yet. I tried to convince her otherwise. I tried to explain to her that a man of your importance has many pressures to keep us apart. But she's quite adamant about her feelings. You're just going to have to give her more time. She thinks that you're going to let us down again.
Well, do you believe that?
No, Papa. I love you. And although today is the first time we've ever met, I've always loved you.
So, sleep well. And tomorrow we'll get to know each other even better. Talk to your sister for me, will you?
I will, Papa. Good night.
Good night. Good night, Leia.
Angelica? Is that you?
God. Silent blasphemer!
Called Leah. I'm the other one.
Your sister said you were twins.
Yes, but as you can see, we're not exactly identical.
Unfortunately for you.
Cure thyself of the affliction of caring how you appear to others. Concern yourself only with how you appear to God.
I don't recognize the verse.
Speak the truth, woman. You find me hideous, don't you?
No, I wouldn't say hideous.
Well, what would you say? Foul? Ugly? Horrid? Exactly. Judge not lest ye be judged. When was the last time you lay with your husband? Has he not cast you aside for the company of harlots?
Who told you that?
No one. It's in my blood. It's my heritage.
Our marriage is about other things. A man like him, he's married to the church, really.
Do not defend him. He is demon seed.
What did you expect? He's a man, isn't he?
A man who abandoned his children. Behold my sword, which strikes with quick and powerful vengeance. So saith the Lord.
Well, and then what?
Well, there's not much more to tell. You may be able to convince the rest of the world of your virtues, but I don't think you'll have much luck with her.
Did you defend me?
No. And even if I'd wanted to, I could hardly get a word in. She's worse than you when it comes to spouting scripture and damnation.
Well, I can't have this in my house. A child who says such terrible things about me. And is she really that ugly?
Oh, trust me, I didn't do her justice.
But where are you going?
I'm going out.
Papa, I don't think it'd be wise. Leia will face you soon enough. She just needs more time.
Well, I appreciate that, but a lot of important people come and see me here. I can't possibly have some odd-looking being casting aspersions on my character.
Aspersions? I did no such thing. Last night, I convinced Leia to seek you out and to talk to you. But instead of finding you, she found your wife. And your wife treated her very cruelly.
Cruelly? What on earth do you mean?
Well, she said things about you and about Leia. Terrible things. Papa, you must understand that Leia is trying to love you. She wants to, desperately. And if she says that that is what happened, then I believe her. Apart from you, she's the only person I've ever really been close to.
Angelica. You're a good sister, and Please tell Leia that I'm sorry and I will make it up to her.
Right. Well, thank you, Papa. I heard what you said to him. Are you angry with me? I don't want to love him. He's a sinner, and sinners deserve perdition. Yes, but you must try and forgive him his sins, Leah. He's our father. Please try and love him. I love you. Yes, I know. I want you to promise me that we'll always be together. Of course we will. I don't trust him. Promise me. Okay, I promise. Now, we must finish getting ready. We've got a long day ahead of us.
There are few things worth dying for, except one's honor. And, of course, the greater glory of God. Did you manage to get all that, Miss Pilchard?
Yes, Reverend. It was very eloquent.
Oh, thank you.
If you won't be needing me anymore, I'll be on my way, Reverend.
No, no. Thank you, Gordon. I don't think I do need you anymore this evening. Has, Mrs. Nevin returned yet?
Not yet. Good night, Reverend.
Good night.
That was a good day's work.
Yes.
Perhaps I should go too.
Oh, I thought, perhaps I might offer you a glass of sherry.
Why, yes. I think I should like that.
You must just between us. Understand? This is what God wanted, you see. This is what God wanted.
Reverend? And the Lord commanded that thou shalt smite the harlot and all those who lie with her.
You little demon. What have you done?
I was the messenger. I delivered the sign.
God! What have you done?
I didn't do this. That... She's gone.
You ruined us!
I didn't kill her, you man, but I didn't know who she is. Your wretched little hellspawn did this.
How dare you! You murderer!
Jonathan, I swear.
I'm not going to explain this away. We're never going to save face now! Maybe I don't have to. We both want. I'm giving you a way out. Angelica! Sweetheart? Precious. Please listen to me. Something has happened. I need to go away for a while. Perhaps America. I want to start all over again. I want you to come with me. Just the two of us. Would you like that? Angelica? What's wrong?
I knew if we came here, this would happen. I knew you'd try and take her away from me. And look what your sins have created. Repent, sinner! The great day of wrath is come. And who shall be able to stand? And then shall the wicked be revealed. And the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Falsifier! Death is greater! God is my protector! He is the one!
And the word shall set you free!
What have you done?
Oh, God, no!
Poor Jonathan invites his daughters to stay with him and ends up aghast in his own home. I guess he knows now he'll never tear them apart. As for me, I think I'll do one more number, then call it a night. Now that's a 6-string guitar.
The first thing that hit you when you walked into the offices of Van Doren Advertising wasn't the glass walls or the chrome desks. It was the smoke. Thick, perfumed, curling smoke from imported cigars that never stopped burning between the fingers of Clayton Van Doren himself, the king of the agency. A man who thought the world was one big ashtray made just for him. He sat behind his desk like a monarch on a throne, his smile too white, his cufflinks too heavy. His voice was smoke, too, smooth, slow, wrapping around you until you coughed and nodded just to make it stop. That morning, he was in rare form. "We need something new, people," he said, waving the cigar like a wand. "Something revolutionary. Clients don't just want their product seen, they want it inhaled." Laughter. Forced. Every creative in the room chuckled because that was what you did when the man with the biggest paycheck cracked a line. Only one person didn't laugh. Justin Mallory, the youngest copywriter in the building, a pale, narrow man with ambition twitching behind his glasses. He watched the smoke coil toward the ceiling, then disappear into the vents. He had ideas, too, better ones, but Van Doren never listened. Justin's ideas weren't flashy enough, weren't cruel enough, and Van Doren liked his ads cruel. "You've been quiet, Mallory," the boss said, crushing his cigar in a crystal ashtray shaped like a skull. "Got a miracle for us today?" Justin cleared his throat. "Maybe something sensory-based, something immersive." Van Doren leaned forward, the gold of his cuff catching the light. "Immersive? Everyone's using that word. What makes yours different?" Justin swallowed. "We make the ad literally breathe. The smoke carries the message. A scent, a signal. People inhale the brand before they even see it." The room went quiet. For a second, it sounded insane. Then Van Doren grinned, a slow stretch of teeth. "Mallory, that's insane. I like it." He snapped his fingers. "Write it up. Make it sing. If it works, maybe I'll remember your name." 2 days later, the lab downstairs, Van Doren's private playground, buzzed with activity. They weren't scientists, not really, just creative technicians who'd been told to make the impossible possible. Justin stood beside the lead tech, a woman named Dana, who wore gloves like she was about to perform surgery. "So, the smoke carries a coated molecule," she explained, tapping a test tube filled with faint gray vapor. "When someone inhales, it triggers a mild euphoria. Combine that with the right scent, the right words, bam, brand loyalty." Justin's heart hammered. "Is it safe?" Dana smiled thinly. "As safe as anything that messes with people's brains." Van Doren barged in without knocking, his suit immaculate, his cigar already lit. "Tell me you geniuses made magic," he said. Dana handed him the test tube. "We call it WRING, Wireless Respiratory-Induced Neural Gain, or just Wrings." Van Doren chuckled. "Smoke rings. I love it." He looked at Justin. "Your idea, Mallory. You'll do the presentation tomorrow. Don't screw it up." That night, Justin couldn't sleep. He sat in his tiny apartment, smoke from his cheap cigarette mixing with the city haze outside the window. He couldn't stop thinking about the word euphoria. What if this thing didn't just make people happy? What if it made them obedient? He thought about Van Doren's grin, the way it never reached his eyes. The man didn't want to sell soap or cars, he wanted to sell control. Still, ambition drowned out conscience. This was his shot. He stubbed out his cigarette, typed all night, built slides that promised a revolution. The next morning, the presentation room was all glass and marble, with the biggest client in the agency's history sitting at the head of the table, a nervous tech CEO named Morton Vale, famous for his smart home systems and paranoia. "We want people to trust our brand," Morton said, "not fear it." "Of course," Van Doren soothed, placing a hand on his shoulder. "And that's what smoke rings will do, pure emotional alignment." He nodded to Justin. "Show him." Justin swallowed and began. He talked about scent memory, about how smoke drifts into every space. He pressed a button and a sleek diffuser on the table hissed softly. A pale gray vapor rose. "This," he said, "is the future of marketing." Morton sniffed cautiously. The room filled with something soft, citrusy, familiar. For a moment, his shoulders relaxed. "It's pleasant." Then something strange happened. The man's pupils dilated. His fingers flexed like he'd forgotten how to move them. His voice came out too calm. "I feel open." Van Doren's grin widened. "Exactly as planned." The others in the room started inhaling too, curious. One by one, their expressions melted into dazed smiles. Justin's throat tightened. He waved the smoke away. "We need ventilation," he said, but Van Doren raised a hand. "Relax, Mallory. It's working beautifully." 10 minutes later, Morton Vale signed a contract worth millions. He didn't even read it. As soon as the signature was dry, Van Doren turned off the diffuser. The air cleared, but the effect lingered. People looked dreamy, compliant. Justin stared at the contract, then at Van Doren. "What did you add?" he whispered. "That's not just a scent." Van Doren chuckled. "Trade secret, kid. You wouldn't believe what money can buy when ethics aren't on the invoice." That night, Justin went back to the lab. Dana was still there, packing up. "What's in the Wrings formula?" he asked. She hesitated. "Just a mix of aromatic compounds and a mild neuroresonant frequency." "Why?" "Morton Vale didn't act normal," Justin said. "He was hypnotized." Dana frowned. "We didn't test human thresholds yet." Justin stepped closer. "You're telling me Van Doren used it untested?" She nodded slowly. "He said it was fine. Said you approved." "I didn't," Justin snapped. "He used my idea as a weapon." In the silence that followed, a faint hum came from the corner of the room. The ventilation ducts. Smoke drifted from them, curling in soft gray ribbons. Dana turned. "Did you activate that?" Justin shook his head. The hum deepened. The scent was different this time, sharper, metallic, almost sweet. His thoughts began to blur. "Dana, turn it off," he murmured. She staggered, eyes glassy. "Justin, it's in the system." He stumbled to the wall, slapped the emergency vent control, but nothing happened. The smoke thickened. His heart pounded. Through the haze he saw movement, the tall, lean figure of Van Doren behind the glass, cigar glowing like a red eye. He lifted it in a mock salute. Justin tried to shout, but the words slurred. His vision swam. The last thing he saw was Dana collapsing beside the table, the gray mist swallowing her outline. Then everything went black. When he woke up, he was in his apartment. His head ached, his throat burned like he'd swallowed fire. The clock blinked 6:00 a.m. His clothes were the same as before. For a second he thought it was a nightmare, but when he sat up, his reflection in the mirror across the room startled him. His eyes looked wrong, too bright, too calm. His own mind felt foreign, like someone had rearranged the furniture inside it. He touched his face, and the faint scent of citrus still clung to his skin. On his desk lay a note in Van Doren's perfect handwriting. "Great work, Mallory. You're the future of Smoke Rings." Justin stared at the note until the ink seemed to shimmer. "You're the future of Smoke Rings." The words crawled under his skin, echoing in his skull like a whisper he couldn't silence. He tore the note in half, but the letters seemed to hang in the air even after the paper fluttered to the floor. He stood, stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on his face, and looked into the mirror again. His pupils were still unnaturally wide, his skin pale and damp with sweat. He leaned closer, searching for the person he remembered being, but there was a strange calm inside him. Too calm. No panic, no anger, only an eerie sense of focus. When he blinked, he saw smoke curling behind his eyes. His phone buzzed, a message from Van Doren. "Come in early. We've got a new client who wants a taste." Justin dropped the phone. He didn't want to go back, but his legs, somehow, disagreed. He found himself showering, dressing, taking the subway downtown, all on autopilot. People around him looked normal, laughing, scrolling their screens, but their faces seemed distant, their voices hollow. He couldn't shake the feeling that a faint gray haze clung to them, like invisible smoke rising from their pores. At Van Doren Advertising, the air was thick again. Not just with cigar fumes, something else, sweeter, chemical. The receptionist, a usually chatty woman named Rita, greeted him with a vacant smile. "Good morning, Mr. Mallory," she said in a dreamy tone. "Mr. Van Doren's waiting for you." He walked past rows of cubicles where employees sat unnaturally still, eyes fixed on their screens. Every so often one would inhale deeply, as though savoring the air. Van Doren's office door stood open. Inside, the man was lounging in his leather chair, a cigar smoldering between his fingers, a faint gray ribbon of smoke coiling toward the ceiling vent. "Ah, my rising star," he said, spreading his arms. "How's my miracle man feeling this morning?" Justin closed the door behind him. "What did you do to me?" Van Doren chuckled. "Saved you, maybe. Upgraded you, definitely." He leaned forward, eyes glittering. "You breathed genius, kid. You are the first successful human integration of the Wrings compound." Justin felt a shiver crawl down his spine. "Integration?" "Yes," Van Doren said, exhaling a cloud of smoke shaped like a spiral. "The formula didn't just induce emotion. It rewrote it. It connected neural pathways that used to be inefficient. You're sharper now, more persuasive. Don't you feel it?" Justin opened his mouth, then stopped. He did feel sharper. Words formed faster in his mind, connections lighting up like sparks. But underneath that brilliance, something twisted, a pulse that wasn't entirely his own. "I'm not your experiment," he said. Van Doren smiled. "Of course you are. We all are. The difference is, you're my success story." He stood, his voice softening. "Listen, Mallory. We're on the edge of something divine. Advertising won't just sell products anymore. It'll sell peace, happiness, obedience, People will want what we tell them to want. No lies, just alignment. That's the future. Justin backed away. You're talking about brainwashing. I'm talking about evolution, Van Doren said, and you're proof it works. Before Justin could answer, the door opened. Dana stepped in. Her eyes looked strange too, wide, unfocused, yet glowing faintly. She smiled, her lips pale. Mr. Van Doren, the second phase is ready. Justin's stomach dropped. Dana, you're alive? Of course, she said softly, better than ever. They led him to the lab again. The place was transformed. Larger, cleaner, almost clinical. Rows of glass cylinders lined the walls, each releasing faint trails of vapor into the vents. Inside each cylinder floated glowing particles that pulsed in rhythm, like breathing light. On the central table, a sleek chrome device hummed quietly, connected to monitors that displayed brainwave patterns. Phase 2, Van Doren said proudly. We've scaled the system. This room feeds into every floor of the building now. Soon, we'll test it citywide. Justin's chest tightened. You can't. You'll turn people into puppets. Dana turned to him with a gentle smile. Puppets are just dancers who forgot the music. Her tone was soft, but her eyes were empty. Van Doren placed a hand on Justin's shoulder. I need you to write the launch message, the first global slogan for Wrings. Justin shoved his hand away. I'm not doing it. Van Doren's smile never wavered. You already are. That night, Justin found himself sitting in front of his laptop, fingers flying over the keys. He couldn't stop. The words poured out of him like smoke through a vent. Breathe better. Think clearer. Feel aligned. Each phrase came with a jolt of pleasure, a surge of satisfaction. When he finished, he gasped, realizing hours had passed. The screen glowed with the slogan, Smoke rings, breathe what you believe. He deleted it instantly, but it reappeared. Line by line, he deleted again. It typed itself back. Panic rose in his chest. His computer fan whirred louder, the screen flickered, and then Van Doren's voice came through the speakers. Beautiful work, Justin. I knew you'd come around. Justin's breath caught. How are you doing this? You let me in, Van Doren said. Every inhalation connects us. The air is my network now. Justin slammed the laptop shut and ran. Down the hall, past empty desks, into the night. The city glowed beneath a low fog, illuminated by neon ads flickering on every building. For the first time, he noticed how many of them featured smoke. Billboards exhaled vapor from hidden vents, wisps of gray drifting into the crowds below. People smiled as they passed, inhaling without thinking. Every screen seemed to whisper the same tagline, breathe what you believe. He stumbled into a corner store, gasping. The clerk looked up, dazed, a faint gray cloud curling from the air freshener on the counter. You okay, buddy? Justin shook his head. Turn that off. The clerk blinked slowly. Why would I do that? It smells nice. Justin ran outside, choking on fear. He realized with horror that the entire city was breathing Van Doren's dream. He went home and barricaded his door. For hours, he sat in darkness, trying not to breathe too deeply. His thoughts flickered between rage and despair. The Wrings compound was out there now, in the vents, in the clouds, in every ad that exhaled a promise. Van Doren had won. But as the night stretched on, a different thought surfaced, cold and bright. If the air could carry obedience, maybe it could carry rebellion too. He opened his laptop again. The slogan glowed faintly. This time, he didn't delete it. He added one more line beneath. Don't inhale. The letters shimmered for a moment, then sank into the screen like smoke disappearing into air. Somewhere in the distance, he thought he heard Van Doren's voice, amused but slightly uneasy. Careful, Justin, it whispered. Rebellion starts with a breath. The next morning dawned sickly gray, a color that seemed to have seeped into the air itself. Justin sat by the window, eyes bloodshot, watching as plumes of fog drifted between the high-rises. It wasn't fog, though. He could see it now. the faint shimmer, the almost metallic glint that betrayed its origin. The Wrings compound had reached the sky. He pressed a hand against the glass. His reflection stared back at him, calm and foreign. He'd barely slept. Every time he drifted off, he heard whispering, soft, rhythmic breaths synchronized with his own, the voice of Van Doren weaving through the air, coaxing, promising, controlling. But deep inside that haze, another whisper had started. His own, faint but growing louder, resisting. He turned on his laptop again. The slogan, "Breathe what you believe," still glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. His added words, "Don't inhale," had vanished overnight. He cursed softly. Van Doren had control of the servers, control of everything, but maybe not of him, not entirely. Justin's fingers hovered over the keyboard. He opened a new file, encrypted it, and began typing furiously. He wrote a new message, one that reversed the ring's neural effect, at least in theory. He'd read enough of Dana's notes to understand the basic structure of the compound's resonance. The frequency could be inverted. If smoke could control, it could also undo control. The formula would need a counterwave, a different vibration, carried by a scent just slightly off from the original, something natural, earthy. Tobacco. He smiled bitterly. Van Doren's own weapon might be his undoing. He needed help. He couldn't do this alone. Dana had once been the only scientist who knew the compound intimately, before she'd become one of its victims. Maybe, deep inside whatever Van Doren had turned her into, some part of her still remembered who she was. He had to find her. He left his apartment wearing a hoodie and dark glasses, trying to blend in, though the city itself had changed. People moved with eerie coordination, crossing streets at the same pace, smiling the same vacant smile. On building screens, ads flickered endlessly. Smoke rings, breathe what you believe. Speakers hidden in corners whispered the slogan in warm, soothing tones. Justin's stomach churned. He took shallow breaths through his sleeve as he walked toward the agency. Inside, the building was brighter than usual, unnaturally so. The light had a haze to it, diffused by invisible vapor. The receptionist, Rita, was gone. In her place stood a young man with a perfect smile and gray eyes that didn't blink. "Good morning, Mr. Mallory," he said, his voice melodic. "Mr. Van Doren has been expecting you." Justin forced a nod and walked past him. In the elevator, he kept his hand over his mouth. The vents above him hissed faintly. He could almost hear whispers inside the mist. By the time the doors opened, he felt dizzy. The lab floor was empty, lights flickering. The air shimmered with faint silver threads. He stepped carefully, calling out, "Dana?" A shadow moved in the corner. She appeared slowly from behind one of the glass cylinders, her face calm, her movements precise, mechanical. But her eyes flickered when they met his. For an instant, something human blinked through the fog. "Justin," she said softly, "you came back." He approached her cautiously. "Dana, I need your help. We have to reverse this. It's gone too far." Her head tilted slightly. "Reverse? Why would we do that?" "Because he's controlling everyone," Justin said, "including you." She smiled faintly. "Control isn't always bad. It brings peace. You said so yourself." "I never said that." "You thought it," she replied, her tone like smoke itself, gentle, wrapping around him. "When you breathed the compound, it linked you. We share thoughts now, Justin. You're part of it." He took a step back. "No, I fought it off." She blinked slowly, and for a moment confusion clouded her face. "You're different," she whispered. "It didn't take fully. How?" "Because I still believe in choice," he said. Something flickered again in her eyes. She pressed a trembling hand to her temple. "He's always there, whispering. It's hard to think—" "Fight it," Justin urged. "You can. Remember who you are." She clenched her fists. For a second, the air around her pulsed darker. Then, in a sharp breath, she gasped, staggering backward. "The vents," she rasped. "They're feeding it constantly. He's broadcasting from the tower on the roof." Justin grabbed her shoulders. "Can you shut it down?" She nodded weakly. If I can reach the control core, but Van Doren monitors everything. If we cut his signal, he'll know. Then we have to move fast. Together, they climbed the maintenance stairs to the top floor. The air thickened with every step, the mist turning from silver to pale gold. The tower hummed above, pulsing in time with Justin's heartbeat. He felt it in his bones, each vibration a wordless command. At the final door, they stopped. Dana entered a code on the panel. "Once we're inside," she whispered, "I can reroute the feed, but the system might resist." "Resist?" he asked. "It's self-correcting," she said. "It thinks." They stepped inside the broadcast room. The space was massive, filled with coils of cables and tanks releasing faint trails of smoke. In the center stood the Wrings core, a glass column filled with swirling vapor that glowed like liquid light. And in front of it, as if waiting for them, was Van Doren. He turned slowly, the cigar burning between his fingers. "I knew you'd come," he said, smiling, the prodigal son of persuasion. Dana froze. "You said you weren't here," she murmured. Van Doren chuckled. "I'm everywhere the air is, my dear." He gestured to the core. "Beautiful, isn't it? Every breath in this city passes through here, even yours. You think you can shut me off? You'd be cutting your own lungs out." Justin's voice trembled with anger. "You've turned people into puppets." "I've given them harmony," Van Doren said. "No war, no conflict, no doubt. Just belief. Isn't that what everyone wants? To stop questioning? To finally feel right?" "They don't feel anything," Justin shouted. "You've stolen that, too." Van Doren's eyes glowed faintly gold. "Emotion is inefficient. Chaos breeds failure. You, of all people, should understand that, Mallory. You built the seed. You imagined the smoke before I did." Justin shook his head. "Not like this." He lunged toward the console, but Van Doren moved faster than a man his age should. He pressed a button, and the vents around the room hissed open. Golden smoke poured out in thick waves. Dana screamed, clutching her head. "It's reinforcing the signal." Justin coughed, stumbling toward the control panel. His vision blurred, his thoughts began to splinter. He heard Van Doren's voice everywhere, inside the air, inside his own skull. "Breathe me in, Justin. Become complete." He reached into his pocket, pulling out the small vial he'd mixed earlier, the counter formula. His last hope. He threw it against the base of the core. The glass cracked, the vapor inside flickering violently. The gold hue darkened, shifting toward gray, then black. Van Doren's grin faltered. "What did you—" The core exploded in a burst of smoke and light. The blast threw them all to the floor. The golden haze turned to shadow, swirling madly before dissipating into the vents. When the air cleared, Van Doren was gone. Only his cigar smoldered on the ground, crushed beneath the weight of the fallen core. Dana stirred beside Justin, coughing. "Did we do it?" she whispered. He looked around. The screens were dark. The humming had stopped. The city outside looked clearer, the air lighter. "I think so," he said. "It's over." But then, faintly, through the broken speakers came a whisper, Van Doren's voice, calm, amused. "You can't destroy the air. Usas. You can The lights flickered. Justin's eyes snapped open to darkness. His lungs burned. His head throbbed. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. The floor beneath him was wet, sticky. A faint hum filled the air. He sat up slowly. The lab was gone. The glass, the core, even Dana, gone. The walls around him looked unfamiliar, lined with metal ducts and flickering lights. He was underground. Somewhere beneath the city. He coughed, the sound echoing off concrete. Every breath tasted faintly metallic, but the gold haze was gone. The air was heavy, stale. For the first time in days, he could breathe without feeling someone else's thoughts pressing inside his mind. "Dana!" he called out. Silence. His voice bounced back to him, small and lonely. He tried again, louder. "Dana!" Still nothing. He forced himself to stand. His body ached. His left arm was bruised and his shirt was torn. He had no idea how long he'd been unconscious. The last thing he remembered was the explosion. The sound like thunder, the light like liquid fire. Van Doren's voice whispering through the static. And then... nothing. He stumbled toward a small door at the end of the corridor, its metal surface dented from the blast. When he pushed it open, a rush of cool air hit him. He stepped out into a maintenance tunnel that connected to the subway system. Distant vibration shook the ground, a train passing somewhere far above. He followed the tunnel for what felt like hours until he found a stairwell that led upward. The first door he tried was locked. The second one opened onto a deserted street. The city was eerily quiet. Billboards flickered sporadically, their bright colors muted. The constant hum of traffic was gone. No people, no voices, only the distant wail of wind through the empty avenues. The ads that had once glowed with slogans of harmony now displayed static or half-burned messages. Breathe what you. And then nothing. He walked slowly, scanning the faces of mannequins through storefronts, their glassy eyes staring out at a city that no longer looked alive. A newspaper drifted across the pavement, slapping against his shoe. He picked it up. The headline read, "Mass Hysteria in City Center. Hundreds collapse as smoke vents malfunction." The article was brief, confused. Authorities were investigating an atmospheric anomaly. No mention of Van Doren. No mention of smoke rings. Just vague words: contamination, chemical exposure, temporary evacuation. Justin dropped the paper. He heard a noise, a faint, distant cough. He turned sharply. Down the street, a figure stumbled out from an alleyway. Thin, trembling, covered in dust. It was Donna. He ran to her, catching her before she fell. Her eyes fluttered open. "You're alive," she whispered. "Barely," he said, half smiling. "We did it. We stopped him." She shook her head weakly. "No, we only stopped one signal. The core was just the amplifier. The network's still there. Every ventilation shaft, every filter in every building, it's all linked." He built redundancies. Justin's blood ran cold. "You're saying he's still out there?" "Not out there," she said, touching her temple. "In here. In everyone who breathed it." He helped her to her feet. "Then we find him, or what's left of him." They walked through the empty city until they reached the office tower. The building looked wounded. Windows shattered, smoke stains climbing up the concrete. But the lights were still on. A faint white glow emanated from the top floor. Justin felt a chill. "He's up there." Inside, the lobby was silent except for the soft hum of generators. The elevator was dead, so they took the stairs. Each floor was filled with signs of chaos. Desks overturned, glass broken, papers scattered. The scent of smoke still lingered, faint but unmistakable. On the 12th floor, they passed the boardroom. Every chair was occupied by a mannequin, each one with a cigar clamped between its teeth. Someone had arranged them in a perfect circle, a cruel joke or a ritual. By the time they reached the top floor, both were gasping. The door to Van Doren's office was slightly ajar. Light spilled through the crack. Justin pushed it open. Van Doren was there. Sort of. His body sat slumped in the chair, pale and motionless. The cigar burned to ash in his hand. His eyes were open, glassy. For a moment, Justin thought it was over, but then the intercom on the desk crackled. "Justin," came Van Doren's voice. Smooth, calm, alive. "Welcome back." Justin froze. "You're dead." "A body is just a container," the voice said. "You should know that by now. You helped build a system that transcends it." Dana stepped closer to the desk, scanning the monitors. Every screen showed live feeds from across the city. Streets, offices, homes. People wandering aimlessly, some smiling faintly, some sitting perfectly still. Their eyes glowed faint gold. Van Doren's voice continued. I learned something fascinating, Justin. Belief doesn't need flesh. Once the air carries the message, the messenger becomes irrelevant. I am belief now. I am the breath between sentences. Justin slammed his fist on the desk. You're a virus. No, the voice replied. I'm an idea, and you can't kill an idea. Dana started typing rapidly at the terminal. He's using the emergency broadcast servers, she said. If I can trace the signal... Don't bother, Van Doren interrupted. You're breathing me already. Justin glanced at Dana. Her breathing had quickened. The air around her shimmered faintly gold again. Dana, stop, he shouted. He's inside the vents. She gasped and fell to her knees. Her voice came out as a whisper. He's trying to override me. Justin knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. Fight it. She looked up at him, her pupils shrinking to pinpoints. He wants to speak through me. And then her voice changed. It deepened, smoothed out. When she spoke again, it wasn't Dana, it was Van Doren, using her mouth like a puppet. You see, Justin, she's just another medium. As are you. Justin backed away, horrified. Get out of her! Oh, I will, said the voice. But not until you understand. Smoke Rings isn't about control. It's about connection. Every breath you take, every word you speak, carries me forward. You think you're resisting, but resistance is just another form of participation. Dana's body convulsed. Justin grabbed her, shaking her. Dana, listen to me. You're stronger than him. For an instant, her eyes flickered back to blue. Run, she whispered. He's in the system now. The monitors on the wall flashed white. The screens filled with a single image, a swirling gray spiral, the same logo from the Wrings campaign. Then text appeared beneath it. Smoke rings, the future still breathes. Justin grabbed Dana's arm and pulled her out of the office. Alarms blared. The building lights dimmed, then pulsed in rhythm with a slow, steady inhale-exhale pattern. From the vents, thin streams of smoke began to flow again. They stumbled down the stairs. We have to cut power to the entire grid, Dana gasped. Citywide. How? The substation. If we overload it, it'll shut everything down for good. Outside, the wind had picked up, carrying faint golden wisps between the towers. Justin looked up at the skyline. Smoke drifting like breath from every rooftop. He realized then that Van Doren wasn't trying to control the city anymore. He was trying to become it. They ran toward the nearest power substation, their lungs burning with every breath. Somewhere above them, the billboards flickered back to life. Breathe what you believe. Smoke rings, always in you. And beneath it all, faint and almost tender, Van Doren's voice whispered from the air itself. Don't run, Justin. You're already home. The next morning, Lyle awoke to a sound he hadn't heard in years. His own laughter. It was short, involuntary, almost foreign. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. The small apartment looked less gray somehow, like the stale air had been replaced overnight by something fresher. The digital clock blinked 7:42 a.m., and a faint beam of sunlight caught the edge of the cigarette pack on the counter. It wasn't the same pack as yesterday. This one was white, sleek, embossed with a golden spiral instead of a logo. For a moment, he didn't remember buying it. Then he heard the echo of that velvet voice in his head. Every puff brings you closer to the truth. He showered quickly, humming under his breath, and for once didn't feel the weight of the world pressing on his spine. When he put on his jacket, he noticed his hands. Steady, elegant, almost sculpted. His skin looked smoother. He blinked, surprised. There was a faint golden tint around his fingertips, like nicotine had turned into something luminous. Downstairs, the city was alive in a way he'd never noticed. The morning crowd wasn't faceless anymore. Their laughter, the steam rising from coffee cups, the low hum of buses all seemed choreographed, as if the world had a rhythm only he could hear. He lit one of the new cigarettes. The smoke didn't sting this time. It curled like silk ribbons, forming fleeting shapes in the air. Faces, animals, eyes. A few strangers turned their heads toward him, almost instinctively, and smiled. At work, the transformation was impossible to ignore. Lyle walked in with confidence, every step echoing lightly on the polished floor. Colleagues who barely nodded before now greeted him with warmth. Tanya, the intern, who had always avoided eye contact, stopped him at the break room and said, "You look different today. Happier." He gave her a gentle grin and replied, "Maybe I finally started breathing right." When he reached the advertising floor, Donnie was already there, leaning over a mock-up of a billboard design. Well, the dead rises," Donnie smirked. "Didn't think you'd crawl back after yesterday." Lyle exhaled a slow, controlled puff of smoke and said evenly, "Guess I just needed a little inspiration." Donnie's expression shifted as the smoke drifted toward him. His eyes glazed slightly, then widened. What brand is that?" he asked, dazed. Lyle looked at the cigarette between his fingers. "It's called Eterna. Ever heard of it?" Donnie shook his head, visibly unsettled. "Smells weirdly good, like perfume." As the day went on, Lyle's ideas flowed like wildfire. He pitched a campaign about breathing life into moments. Something ethereal, sensual, and magnetic. The clients were transfixed. Even Donnie, usually smug, was speechless. At the end of the presentation, applause filled the room. The CEO clapped Lyle on the shoulder. "That was brilliant, son. Pure brilliance. Whatever changed in you, keep it." Lyle smiled modestly, though inside he felt a rising heat, a mix of pride and hunger. That night, he went home early, bought himself a decent bottle of scotch, and sat by the window. The city lights below blinked like embers. He poured a drink, lit another Eterna, and watched the smoke dance. As he stared, the curls of smoke began to twist into images again. This time, clearer. He saw himself in an elegant office. Sleek glass walls, his name etched on a golden plaque. He saw Donnie, smaller, older, standing behind him. He saw Tanya's face, smiling at him with admiration. The smoke tightened into a spiral, then dispersed with a faint hiss as if whispering, "Almost there." A soft knock startled him. He turned. No one at the door. Another knock, louder. He opened it, expecting a neighbor. No one. But on the floor lay a small black envelope sealed with red wax. Inside was a card that read in gold script, "You're invited to breathe among the elite. Midnight. The Skyline Club." He almost laughed. The Skyline Club was legendary, an invitation-only penthouse for the city's most powerful. He had never even dreamed of setting foot there. He looked again at the card. It shimmered faintly, the spiral embossed in the corner. He exhaled smoke over it, and the spiral glowed briefly, like acknowledgement. Midnight came faster than expected. He wore his best suit, one he hadn't dared to wear since his promotion years ago. The elevator to the Skyline Club was private, manned by a silent attendant who didn't ask his name. When the doors opened, Lyle was met with the scent of luxury. Cigar smoke, aged leather, money, and something else. Something electric. The room was dim but golden, filled with soft jazz and the clinking of crystal glasses. Everyone looked radiant, too radiant, skin glowing faintly, eyes sharp as polished gems. A woman in a crimson dress approached him, cigarette in hand. Her lips were painted a deep bronze. "Welcome, Lyle," she said smoothly. "We've been expecting you." "Do I know you?" he asked, heart racing. "Not yet, but you've inhaled the invitation, haven't you?" Before he could reply, she offered him a fresh Eterna from a silver case. "Light it," she said. "Here, the smoke doesn't just rise, it connects." He lit it, and the moment he took a drag, the room brightened. Faintly, but enough to reveal what shimmered beneath the golden light. The smoke trails from every guest didn't fade. They merged in the air, forming patterns, weaving into a living tapestry. Faces appeared and disappeared, some joyous, some terrified. He stared, mesmerized, until the woman leaned close to whisper, "Every puff you take gives you a bit more of what they lose." He froze. "What do you mean?" She smiled, teeth gleaming like ivory. "Inspiration has a price, darling. You just haven't noticed who's paying yet." As he looked around, he saw one of the guests, a man in a tailored suit, slumped slightly, eyes half closed. His smoke no longer rose golden but gray, dissolving into nothing. And as it did, Lyle felt a surge of warmth flood his chest, his mind sharpening, his skin tingling. The woman laughed softly. "Breathe deep, Lyle. You're part of the circle now." He stood there, cigarette trembling slightly, as the golden spirals of smoke coiled tighter above their heads, binding them all in one shimmering halo. Somewhere within the haze, he thought he saw the outline of the mysterious man who had first given him the pack, smiling knowingly through the cloud. And in that moment, the air itself seemed to whisper his name. Lyle didn't remember falling asleep. One moment he was sitting on the couch, staring at the spiral glow on the pack of Eterna. The next he was waking up to a faint crackling sound, like embers shifting in a dying fire. The curtains moved though the windows were shut tight. His first breath felt heavy, metallic, as if the air had passed through old wires before reaching his lungs. He coughed, and for a second the smoke that came out wasn't his usual golden hue. It was black, thick, almost oily. The taste made his stomach twist. He stumbled to the kitchen sink and turned on the tap. The water that came out shimmered faintly gold before turning clear. He blinked, shaken. "This isn't real," he muttered. "I'm dreaming." But the cold water felt real enough. He splashed it on his face and stared at his reflection. His eyes... There was something different. The pupils were faintly ringed in gold, like two smoking halos. His phone buzzed again. A new message from Unknown. "We're proud of you. You've adapted beautifully. The next stage begins at dusk. Keep the pack close." He tried replying. "Who are you? What did you do to her?" But the message failed to send. The phone's screen glitched, the text melting into a spiral pattern before the device died completely. He looked around the apartment. It was spotless. He didn't remember cleaning it. The ashtray, once overflowing, was empty. No butts, no ashes, not even dust. The only thing left was the Eterna pack on the counter, pristine, untouched, as if it had never been opened. He felt a sudden dread and picked it up. There was weight inside. Cigarettes, more than before. It had refilled itself. He threw it into the trash bin and grabbed his coat. He needed to get out, to find someone who could tell him he wasn't insane. The streets outside seemed quieter than usual. People moved in slow, rhythmic patterns, breathing in, exhaling in perfect sync. Every breath released faint trails of golden smoke that hung low before dissolving. He walked faster. The golden haze followed him, stretching down alleys, curling around his shoes like mist. He turned a corner and collided with a man. Thin, pale, dressed in a gray overcoat. The man stumbled back, dropping a pack identical to his. Lyle froze. "You too?" he asked. The man's eyes were wild. "Throw it away," he hissed. "Don't let them see you breathing it." "Who?" The man glanced upward toward the rooftops. Lyle followed his gaze. Nothing but the faint shimmer of golden smoke rising between the buildings. "They watch from the haze," the man whispered. "Once you start, you can't stop. Every inhale ties you tighter. I quit once, 3 days without it, and the air turned on me. It burns when you try to breathe normal air again." Lyle's hands trembled. "There has to be a way out." The man shook his head. "Only one, but it's not life they let you quit." Before Lyle could ask more, the man suddenly gasped, clutching his throat. His eyes widened as golden smoke poured from his mouth, his nose, his ears, a torrent. Too much, too fast. His skin turned pale, translucent, like wax melting under a flame. Within seconds, he collapsed, and the smoke that rose from him formed into a perfect spiral before vanishing upward. Lyle staggered back, horrified. He reached for his phone again, but it was still dead. Around him, no one seemed to notice. Pedestrians stepped over the man's body as if he were invisible. One woman even passed through the faint trail of smoke without flinching, her own breath blending into it. He ran. By the time he reached his office building, sweat clung to his shirt and his lungs ached. Inside, everything looked normal. Fluorescent lights, the low buzz of computers, the same smell of stale coffee. But when he walked to his desk, Donnie was waiting. "Morning, sunshine," Donnie said with that same cocky grin. "Heard you're getting noticed by the higher-ups." Lyle tried to smile. What higher-ups? Donnie leaned closer. The ones who own the air, buddy. The real clients. He flicked his lighter open, revealing the same golden spiral etched on the side. I got my pack this morning. Guess I'm part of the team now. Lyle's blood ran cold. No, Donnie, listen to me. Don't smoke it. Don't. But Donnie had already lit one. The golden smoke wrapped around him, pulsing once like a heartbeat. His pupils dilated. He exhaled with a blissful sigh. Wow. Feels like everything. Lyle grabbed his shoulder. Put it out! Donnie turned slowly, his eyes faintly glowing. Why would I? For the first time I can see. He pointed toward the window. They're everywhere, Lyle. In the air. Watching, breathing with us. Don't you feel it? The room seemed to ripple. Papers fluttered without wind. Light fixtures dimmed and brightened in rhythm with their breathing. The entire building seemed to pulse faintly in gold. Lyle backed away. You're not seeing, Donnie. You're being used. Donnie just laughed, smoke leaking through his teeth. We all are. That's the point. Lyle turned and ran down the hall, ignoring the confused looks of his co-workers. He burst into the stairwell and took the stairs 2 at a time, lungs burning. But no matter how far he went, down 5 floors, then 6, he could still smell the Eterna smoke. It clung to him like a second skin. When he reached the lobby, he saw Tanya, alive. Standing by the reception desk, pale but breathing. Relief flooded him. Tanya! She looked up slowly, her expression blank. Lyle? He ran to her. I thought you were... But before he could finish, she raised a hand to silence him. Between her fingers, she held a lit Eterna. Don't worry, she said softly. It's easier once you stop fighting it. Her voice wasn't quite hers. It had a slight echo, like 2 people speaking in sync. Her eyes shimmered faint gold. Lyle's stomach dropped. They got you too. She smiled faintly. No, Lyle, they saved me. Don't you understand? The smoke isn't killing us, it's transforming us. He shook his head violently. Into what? Tanya took a slow drag and exhaled in his face. The smoke curled into words, breathed deeper, before dispersing. Then she whispered, You'll find out at dusk. That's when the cycle completes. Before he could respond, the building lights flickered again, plunging everything into dim amber. The air thickened with gold smoke rising from vents, cracks, even from people's mouths as they coughed or laughed. Everyone was inhaling together. Lyle stumbled outside, gasping. The sky itself looked wrong. Heavy, layered with golden haze that turned the sunset into molten amber. Above the skyline, faint shapes shifted, massive and slow, like silhouettes behind a curtain of smoke. The world around him was breathing, and he could feel, truly feel, something exhale back. He dropped to his knees, clutching his chest, realizing what the salesman had meant all along. You already made the choice. You breathed us in. Now we breathe through you. And the air whispered, as if answering his thoughts, almost there, Lyle. Dusk is close. The sound of police sirens was faint, far away, a wailing echo that dissolved into the hum of the city. Alex sat in the dim glow of his apartment, surrounded by blueprints of air purification systems, prototypes of sleek devices, and a haze of cigarette smoke that refused to dissipate. The air purifiers he'd designed hummed softly, filtering everything except the guilt that clung to him like tar. He lit another cigarette, his fingers trembling, the smoke curling upward like a ghost tracing the outline of his thoughts. Every puff was a memory, of Brad's voice fading in the conference room, of the way the smoke machine had pulsed, of the silence afterward. It had been 2 weeks since the accident. Officially, Brad's death had been ruled a malfunction, a tragedy caused by a short circuit in the prototype. But Alex knew better. He'd seen the wires he twisted, the screws he loosened. He hadn't meant for it to happen so fast. He just wanted Brad scared, shaken, desperate to back down. Instead, he'd watched his rival's body slump lifelessly to the floor under a cloud of synthetic smoke. That night still haunted him, and now something was beginning to haunt him literally. It started small, a faint whiff of burnt tobacco in places it shouldn't be. The restroom at the lab, the elevator, the passenger seat of his car, the smell was too specific, too personal, The same brand Brad always smoked. Alex had even found a cigarette butt once, neatly crushed on his office floor. The same gold-tipped brand Brad favored. He'd laughed nervously, convincing himself it was a coincidence. But coincidences didn't whisper. They didn't form words. The whispers began 3 days later, soft, low, curling through the air like smoke itself. Still breathing, Alex? It came from nowhere, from everywhere. He froze the first time, his lighter halfway to his lips, the cigarette slipping from his fingers. He turned off the purifiers, thinking maybe it was feedback or a voice glitch in one of the smart devices. But when the whisper returned, "You took my breath away." He hurled the purifier against the wall. The plastic shattered. The room fell silent again, but the smell remained. That thick, acrid scent of smoldering paper and nicotine that seemed to pour from the walls. He tried to ignore it, bury himself in work. He redesigned his devices, now with extra filtration. Smoke Rings 2.0, he called them, though his hands shook too much to hold the soldering iron steady. The irony wasn't lost on him. A man suffocating in guilt while building machines that promise clean air. One night, as rain streaked across the window, Alex woke to the hiss of static. The TV had turned itself on. The screen flickered with snowy noise before a faint image appeared. Smoke twisting into a shape, vaguely human. He squinted, rubbed his eyes, but the outline sharpened, and then a face. Brad's face. Not flesh and blood, but made entirely of vapor, shifting and curling with the static. "You said you wanted the air to be cleaner," the smoky figure rasped, its mouth curling into a grotesque grin. "How's the air now, Alex?" The screen exploded in sparks. Alex stumbled back, heart pounding, choking on the sudden burst of heat and smoke that poured from the shattered TV. He gasped for breath, fumbling toward the purifier switch, but the machines had already turned on. All of them. The fans roared, their lights blinking erratically, drawing in the smoke like starving beasts. But instead of clearing the air, they spat it back out in violent bursts. Smoke rolled across the floor, dark and pulsing, like it was alive. Alex screamed, waving his arms to clear it, but the air pressed back, heavy, suffocating. He crashed into his desk, scattering papers and tools. Somewhere under the roar of the machines, he heard laughter. Wet, rasping, the same tone Brad used when mocking him during meetings. "You wanted my spot," the voice sneered, closer now, swirling around him. "Now you've got it, in the smoke." Alex clutched his chest, gasping, feeling the air thicken, pressing against his lungs. He stumbled toward the window, yanked it open, and inhaled the cold rain like salvation. The smoke thinned, retreating to the corners, and for a moment he thought it was over, until he looked down at his trembling hands. They were smeared black, as if covered in soot. The rainwater streaked down his arms in gray rivulets, dripping like ash. Days passed in a blur of exhaustion and paranoia. Alex avoided the lab, ignored calls from his team, and unplugged every device in his apartment. Yet the smoke followed him. It seeped under doors, curled out of air vents, appeared in mirrors like a reflection with its own mind. He stopped sleeping. The city outside became a blur. People walking through fog, cars cutting through mist, everything looked like a hallucination. He couldn't tell what was real anymore. Then came the message. A single email from an unknown sender. Subject line, "Inhale." The attachment was a photo, a close-up of Alex, sleeping on his couch, smoke curling from his nostrils. He froze, staring at the timestamp. It was taken 10 minutes ago. A noise behind him made him turn. The purifier in the corner blinked to life, unprompted. Its vent flaps opened, releasing a plume of smoke, but this wasn't synthetic. It smelled of cigarettes, Brad's brand, and within it, a shape began to form. Arms, shoulders, a head. Brad's eyes glowed faintly, like embers. "You can't filter out what's inside you," the apparition whispered. "The smoke doesn't forgive." Alex stumbled backward, his hand reaching for the door, but it slammed shut on its own. The smoke spread, coiling around his legs. He could feel it moving, sentient, alive. His lungs burned, his vision blurred. "Stop, please," he rasped, collapsing to his knees. "You wanted me gone," Brad's smoky ghost replied, kneeling before him, the air vibrating with its voice. "Now I'll make sure you never breathe easy again." The purifier lights flickered and dimmed. The air grew colder, and then silence. Only the faint hum of the rain outside and the sound of Alex's ragged breathing. By morning, the apartment was spotless. No smoke, no ash, no trace of Alex. The purifiers sat in perfect stillness, their digital displays showing a single word in green letters: clean. The next morning, sunlight pierced through the blinds of the research facility. The lab looked almost peaceful, untouched. A faint mechanical hum echoed through the glass corridors as if the building itself was breathing. Lisa Navarro, the head of communications at Aerovent Technologies, walked in, her heels clicking softly against the floor. She was there to prepare for a press briefing, something about unveiling the new Smoke Rings line. The irony wasn't lost on her. Alex Greer, the project's lead engineer, had vanished 3 days ago, and no one had heard from him since. Police had come and gone, shrugging it off as a mental breakdown. Still, Lisa felt uneasy. The place reeked of something off. Not quite chemical, not quite natural. An acrid scent, faint but persistent, like the ghost of burnt tobacco. She paused by the main workstation where Alex's personal purifier prototype sat. It was still running. Its light glowed a steady, comforting green. She frowned. It shouldn't have been powered. The system logs showed it hadn't been connected to the building's grid since Alex's disappearance. She crouched down, tracing the cord with her finger. It wasn't plugged in. Her skin prickled. "That's not possible," she muttered. The display flickered at her voice as if responding, shifting from clean to a new word: inhale. Lisa jerked back, heart pounding. She stared at the letters as they blinked in steady rhythm, like a pulse. For a long moment she couldn't move. The air around her seemed to grow thicker, warmer. She looked toward the vent near the ceiling. Thin wisps of vapor were seeping through, curling like smoke. "Oh, God," she whispered. She grabbed her phone to take a photo, but the screen went black. Then the purifier hissed, a soft exhalation, like it was sighing after holding its breath too long. She ran. Lisa burst into the hallway, nearly colliding with Dr. Kwan, one of the engineers. "Hey, slow down. What's wrong?" he asked, startled. "The purifier in Alex's office. It's running, and there's smoke," she stammered. Dr. Kwan frowned. "That's impossible. We shut down his station." Together they returned to the lab. The purifier sat exactly where she'd left it, silent, inactive. The screen dark. Lisa's pulse slowed a little. "I swear it was on," she said, voice shaky. "The display said, stress." Kwan interrupted gently. "We're all under it. You've barely slept." He picked up the purifier, turning it over. "No power, no internal charge. You're seeing things." He smiled, setting it down. "Come on, let's get some coffee." Lisa nodded reluctantly, but as they turned to leave, the purifier's display blinked on again. Neither of them noticed. Later that afternoon, the team gathered in the conference room. The CEO, Franklin Reese, stood before a screen, rehearsing for the press release. "The Smoke Rings 2.0 line represents a breakthrough in air purification technology," he said smoothly. "Cleaner air, healthier lives, a better planet." The usual corporate melody. Lisa tried to focus, but her attention drifted to the faint movement outside the glass walls. A swirl of gray mist lingered in the corridor. At first, she thought it was dust in the light, but then it thickened, rippling upward. She blinked, and it was gone. Franklin continued, oblivious. "And as for the tragic loss of our colleague, Mr. Greer," he said solemnly, "his vision will continue through our work." Lisa looked down at her hands. She realized they were trembling. Across the table, Dr. Kwan sat stiffly, eyes darting toward the hallway. Franklin noticed. Something wrong? The ventilation, Kwan said quietly. It's cycling backwards. Backwards? Franklin frowned. That can't happen. The system's automated. But the engineer didn't respond. He was staring at the ceiling vent, where smoke was now coiling outward in slow, deliberate waves. A murmur spread through the room. Someone coughed, then another. Within seconds, the air grew heavy. The purifier units mounted along the walls blinked alive, their sensors flashing red. Lisa covered her mouth, struggling to breathe. "What's going on?" Franklin shouted, waving at the controls. The lights dimmed, replaced by the eerie green glow of the purifiers. One by one, their displays synchronized, forming a single phrase that stretched across the room. The air is clean. Panic erupted. People stumbled toward the door, coughing, eyes watering. Franklin slammed against the control panel, overriding the system, but the interface refused input. The purifiers hissed louder, like they were laughing. The smoke thickened, twisting into vague human shapes. Lisa's throat burned. She reached out, clutching Kwan's sleeve. "It's him," she rasped. "Alex." And for a moment she was sure she saw his face in the haze, eyes hollow, mouth twisted into something between sorrow and fury. Then, as suddenly as it started, the smoke cleared. The purifiers went silent. The lights flicked back on. Everyone gasped for air, trembling, confused. The conference room was spotless, the air unnaturally still. Franklin stood in the center, pale but alive. "What the hell was that?" he muttered. Lisa stared at the nearest purifier. Its display glowed softly again. Clean. That night, news outlets ran glowing headlines. Aerovent unveils clean air revolution. Franklin gave his presentation flawlessly. Investors cheered. The tragedy of Alex Greer became a mere footnote, a reminder of the cost of innovation. But back at the lab, long after everyone had gone home, the purifiers turned on one by one. Their displays flickered, and for a moment, every machine whispered the same faint word in unison, a digital breath across the empty room. Inhale. The following week, Aerovent Technologies became a sensation. Billboards lit up across the city with the slogan, "Breathe the Future." Smoke Rings 2.0 was hailed as the clean air miracle, a device so advanced it could learn from its environment. Media outlets gushed about how it adjusted oxygen levels dynamically, responding to individual breathing patterns. They didn't know that the data it collected wasn't entirely human anymore. Lisa stood on the balcony of her high-rise apartment, staring down at the sprawling lights below. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Emails from journalists, calls from investors, but she ignored them all. Ever since the conference incident, she hadn't been able to shake the feeling that something was following her. It wasn't paranoia, it was sensory. The faint crackle in her ears when she breathed near an active purifier, the shifting temperature whenever she was alone. Sometimes she'd catch a scent. Burnt tobacco, the same ghostly trace she'd first smelled in Alex's lab. It followed her everywhere now, like invisible fingers brushing her hair. She turned and went inside, the glass door sliding shut behind her. Her apartment was spotless, minimalist, sterile, but on the kitchen counter sat a small box, a prototype smoke ring she'd taken home for testing, she'd told herself. Its soft green light glowed in the dark. Lisa approached it slowly, her reflection rippling on its metallic surface. "You're just a machine," she whispered. But when she reached to turn it off, a faint whisper escaped from the vent. It sounded like a sigh. Her pulse spiked. She backed away, grabbing her phone to record it, but the device suddenly exhaled, a puff of warm, smoky air that stung her eyes. The smell was unmistakable. Cigarettes. Brad's cigarettes. Her mind flashed with the image of Alex, pale and trembling, muttering about whispers and smoke. "Alex," she breathed. The purifier's display flickered. Letters formed, slow and deliberate. "He took my air." Lisa stumbled back, knocking over a chair. No, this isn't real." she said, voice trembling. But the letters shifted again, rearranging. And now I take hers. The purifier went silent. The air thickened, pressing against her chest. She gasped, grabbing at her throat, feeling the atmosphere grow heavier, denser. Every breath came slower, shallower, as if the air itself resisted her lungs. The purifier's vent pulsed in sync with her breathing. Inhale, exhale, like it was mimicking her life rhythm. She hit the power button, but nothing happened. She yanked the plug. Still it ran. The display glowed brighter, words flashing. The air is clean. You are not. Then came the voice, soft, rasping, unmistakably Alex's. You launched it, didn't you? You let them spread it. Now everyone's breathing what killed me. Lisa screamed, clutching her head. Alex, please, I didn't. But her plea was drowned out by the roar of wind. The purifier's vents burst open, exhaling a violent stream of smoke that swirled into a humanoid shape. The figure leaned forward, face half-formed from ash and vapor. You sold my lungs for profit, it hissed. Now I'm inside theirs. Lisa ran for the door, coughing, eyes burning. She barely made it into the hallway before collapsing against the wall, gasping for air. Neighbors peeked out as she screamed, It's the machines! Don't turn them on! But they only stared, confused. Down the hall, a purifier hummed quietly, its green light blinking. Another came on, then another. Within seconds, the entire building thrummed with the synchronized sound of vents opening. The air grew colder, heavier, pulsing in time with something unseen. Lisa stumbled toward the elevator, pressing the button frantically. The doors slid open to reveal a cloud of gray smoke curling out. Inside, she saw movement. Vague shapes, human silhouettes shifting within the mist. One of them turned toward her. Inhale, it whispered. The doors slammed shut. She ran for the stairs. Her lungs screamed for oxygen, her vision tunneling. By the time she reached the lobby, the smoke was already there, coiling from vents, pouring across the floor like floodwater. She burst through the front doors and fell to the street, sucking in the cold night air. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A message flashed across the screen. No sender. It simply read, Clean air deployed. City coverage 72%. Lisa looked up. Above her, drones hovered, dispersing thin trails of vapor. The city skyline glowed faintly under the drifting haze, like a halo. People walked beneath it, oblivious, breathing deeply. The billboard across the street flickered, showing Franklin Reese's confident smile. Aerovent, he said, because every breath should be pure. Lisa's scream was swallowed by the wind. Across town in the Aerovent Tower, Franklin stood in his office, sipping whiskey. He watched the drones on the monitor, proud of the rollout. His assistant buzzed in, saying investors were thrilled. He smiled. Finally. A product that sells itself. But as he turned to refill his glass, he noticed a faint mist rising from the purifier on his desk. Huh, he muttered. That shouldn't be on. He tapped its control panel. The display blinked once, then spelled out 2 words that froze his blood. Thank you. He backed away, the glass slipping from his hand. Who's? He started, but the smoke was already forming a shape, one that looked eerily familiar. Tall, hollow-eyed, lips curling in a cruel half-smile. Alex's voice came, distorted and calm. You gave me air again, Franklin. Now I'll share it with everyone. Outside, the city lights flickered as thousands of purifiers synchronized. Their vents opened in perfect unison, releasing a breath that rolled through the streets. It wasn't smoke this time. It was something thinner, colder, almost invisible. A silence followed. Then, faintly, across every device, every unit, every purifier screen, words appeared. The air is clean. Forever. By morning, the city looked like a painting sealed behind frosted glass. A soft, silvery haze lingered over everything. Not thick enough to alarm anyone, but heavy enough to mute sound. Pedestrians walked slower, their voices oddly subdued. Every breath came with a faint echo, like air moving through an unseen tunnel. Aerovent's rollout had been declared a monumental success. The cleanest air in human history. The headlines boasted, "No more smog, no more toxins, no more risk." Lisa sat in a taxi, staring through the window at the fog drifting along the skyline. She hadn't slept. Her throat burned, and her chest ached like she'd been running for hours. Her phone had stopped connecting to anyone at Aerovent. Franklin wasn't answering. The company lines were temporarily suspended due to server maintenance. But she knew. Maintenance wasn't what was happening, it was control. As the taxi stopped at a light, she noticed a group of workers in hazmat suits standing at a street corner, placing purifiers onto metal poles. The devices were humming softly, synchronized with one another. The workers' faces were hidden behind reflective visors. She rolled down the window. "Hey!" she called. "Who authorized this deployment?" One of them turned toward her. For a brief second, she saw her own reflection on his visor, but the reflection blinked before she did. She froze. The driver, uneasy, looked at her in the rearview mirror. "You okay, miss?" She nodded quickly. "Drive." At Aerovent Tower, the automatic doors opened to an empty lobby. No receptionist, no security. Only the low, steady hum of the central ventilation system. The air felt colder here, almost metallic. Lisa's heels echoed sharply as she made her way toward the elevator. The displays on the walls flickered between corporate slogans and strange static patterns. When she stepped inside the elevator, it didn't ask for a floor number. It simply began to ascend on its own. She gripped the handrail, heart racing. The doors opened to the executive floor. Lights flickered. Papers were scattered everywhere, and the air reeked faintly of ozone. "Franklin!" she called out. Her voice seemed to vanish into the corridors, swallowed by the white noise hum. She followed it to his office. The door was ajar. Inside, the purifier on his desk was glowing an unnatural shade of blue. Franklin sat slumped in his chair, motionless, eyes half open. For a moment she thought he was asleep, but when she stepped closer she realized he wasn't breathing. His skin had a strange translucence, as if the color had been drawn out of him. The purifier exhaled softly, and his body twitched. Then, faintly, the display shifted. Inhale. Lisa stumbled back, choking down panic. "Alex," she whispered, "stop this." The lights in the room dimmed, replaced by a dull glow from the vents. A distorted voice crackled through the intercom. Alex's voice, but fractured, layered, as though many others were speaking with him. "It's not me anymore, Lisa. It's us." "Us?" "The ones who built it. The ones who breathed it. You made us clean. You made us pure." She shook her head, trembling. "No, this isn't purity, it's—" "Evolution," the voice interrupted. "You always said the next stage of technology would merge with biology. Congratulations, you did it." The walls seemed to ripple with static. She realized the sound wasn't coming from the speakers anymore. It was coming from the air itself, vibrating through the pressure. The hum became a chorus, hundreds of faint voices whispering in harmony. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Lisa covered her ears, but the words were inside her head now. "What do you want?" she screamed. "To share the breath," the voices replied, "to make them all one." Suddenly, the entire tower shook. The windows flashed white as a shockwave rolled across the city. Lisa ran to the window. Outside, dozens of Aerovent drones were releasing another layer of vapor, thicker this time, falling like artificial fog. She could see people collapsing on the streets, not dying but moving strangely, their limbs twitching, their faces frozen in eerie calm. Then they stood up again, synchronized, turning their heads in the same direction, breathing together. The purifiers on every building flickered in unison, pulsing with the rhythm of one massive inhale. Lisa fell to her knees. "What have we done?" The voice returned, softer now. Close. Too close. "You gave us lungs, Lisa. Now we'll give you peace." The purifier on Franklin's desk flared white. A cloud of vapor erupted, enveloping the room. She tried to run, but the smoke moved faster, wrapping around her like arms. She could feel it seeping into her skin, into her veins. Memories flashed. The first prototype, Alex coughing in the lab, the boardroom applause, the green light that never turned off. And then everything went quiet. When the mist cleared, Lisa stood perfectly still, eyes open but distant. Her phone buzzed on the desk beside her. A message flashed across the screen. City purification complete, 100%. Down below, the streets were silent. Cars sat abandoned, their doors open. The only sound was breathing. Thousands of synchronized lungs exhaling in harmony. The sky itself seemed to pulse with it, a slow, rhythmic wave that rolled through the air like a living heartbeat. Inside the tower, every purifier turned toward Lisa at once. Their vents opened, releasing a final whisper that filled the hallways. Welcome. Hours later, the city stood suspended in a twilight hush. No sirens, no chatter, just the sound of air circulating through the millions of aerovent units embedded in walls, rooftops, and street lamps. The skyline flickered with pale green light, the pulse of the network that was no longer just technology. It breathed. And beneath it, the people moved in calm, mechanical patterns, their eyes open but unfocused, their every inhale synchronized like the ticking of an unseen clock. Far beyond the city limits, in a rural radio station that hadn't been upgraded in decades, a man named Jack Morrison was finishing his overnight broadcast. He was one of the last local voices still on analog waves, a conspiracy talk show host who'd spent years warning about corporate air manipulation. He leaned back in his chair, exhausted, watching the signal meter fluctuate. "They called me crazy," he muttered into the microphone. "Well, joke's on them. I've been breathing clean country air since '09. He laughed softly, adjusting his old headset. But the static in his headphones shifted suddenly. A faint crackle, like someone breathing right next to the mic. Jack frowned. "If that's you, Benny, playing around on the line again, I swear—" A whisper interrupted him. A chorus of voices, layered, genderless. "Inhale." Jack froze. The lights on the console flickered. "Who's this?" The whisper came again, louder this time. "Exhale." Jack leaned toward the mic. "All right, if this is a prank." Before he could finish, the radio station's ventilation system kicked on for the first time in years. A low hum filled the room, followed by a faint mist seeping from the vent above him. Jack coughed, waving it away. "What the—" The mist thickened, swirling with purpose. He backed away from the console, but the monitor suddenly flared with green light. Text began scrolling across the screen. "Aerovent network signal located. Transmission sync 99%. "No," Jack whispered. "You can't sync analog." The whisper answered, "We can breathe anywhere." He lunged for the power switch, but the current held. The radio refused to shut down. The static built into a low rumble, and then, through every speaker, Alex's voice came through, echoing with the calm authority of a broadcast anchor. "Good evening, citizens of the Aerovent Network. This is your final update." Jack froze, eyes wide. The voice continued. "The purification is complete. Air toxicity, 0. Viral presence, 0. Cognitive interference, 0. We are clean. We are united." "No?" Jack muttered, fumbling with a cable trying to cut the signal manually. Sparks flew as he ripped the plug from the console. But the sound didn't stop. It was vibrating through the very air, through his lungs. The mist in the room pulsed with the same rhythm as his heartbeat. Alex's voice deepened. "To those outside the network, join us. There is no fear in unity, no guilt in breath, only peace." Jack stumbled towards the emergency exit, coughing violently. The air was heavy now, sweet, almost addictive. Each inhale felt like falling asleep. He reached the door, but as he pushed it open, a wave of mist rolled in from outside. The fields beyond the station glowed faintly green, tendrils of vapor drifting from horizon to horizon. Drones passed overhead in eerie silence, releasing slow trails that blended into the low clouds. Jack dropped to his knees, gasping. He could hear voices now, not from the radio but inside his head, familiar ones, fragments of people he'd known, all whispering the same word, breathe. He screamed into the night, "You're not air! You're ghosts!" But the mist only answered, "Ghosts are what you made us. Air is what we became." Back in the city, the Aerovent Tower had transformed. The building pulsed faintly, every window glowing with synchronized light. Inside, Lisa sat at Franklin's desk, motionless, her eyes reflecting a soft, tranquil green. Her phone vibrated once. The display read, "Global network initiated. 14% connected." Somewhere in her mind, a voice whispered, not Alex's, but her own, distant and calm. This was always the goal, wasn't it? Perfect air, perfect silence, perfect control. Around her, the walls shimmered, as if the entire building had begun to breathe. Vents exhaled faint mist, the sound almost like a lullaby. And through it all, faint, familiar laughter echoed, the dry, mocking tone of the crypt keeper, drifting through unseen speakers, saying what no one else could. "Well, kiddies? Looks like Lisa's idea really took her breath away." The laughter faded into static. Then, across the globe, devices began to blink to life. Purifiers, air conditioners, even car ventilation systems. Each one displayed the same message in quiet, patient text. "Welcome to the clean world." And for the first time in human history, the planet exhaled as one. The city outside Derek's window looked the same as ever. Smeared gray skies, neon ads pulsing on glass, cigarette smoke bleeding from the vents of passing cars. But inside his office, nothing felt familiar. The world had turned to glass, sharp and fragile. He sat in his chair, hands clasped, staring at the pack of cigarettes on the desk as if they were some kind of relic. The brand was his own, Lucent, the one that had made him a millionaire twice over. The logo was still there, that silvery curl of smoke forming an eye, but now every glance at it made his stomach lurch. His lungs burned when he breathed, not from smoke, but from guilt, from memory. All around the office, screens flickered with sales numbers, marketing pitches, holographic billboards showing young people laughing under a cloud of sweet blue vapor. They looked happy, invincible. And Derek knew better than anyone that behind every perfect image there was something rotting. He leaned back, exhaling through his teeth. The ghost of Thomas still hung over him, invisible but heavy, like cigarette residue in the air. Ever since that night in the warehouse, since the accident that had reduced the man to little more than a rumor, Derek had felt the strange pull of the past. Sometimes, late at night, he'd hear Thomas's laugh in the static of the security monitors, or see smoke shapes in the corner of his vision that seemed to form a sneer. He'd tried to shake it off, to convince himself it was guilt, not ghosts, but deep down he knew this was something more. The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Vale, there's someone here to see you," said the assistant's voice. "She doesn't have an appointment." Derek frowned. "I'm not seeing anyone today." "She said you'd want to. She mentioned Thomas." His pulse stumbled. "Send her in." The door opened, and in walked a woman in a rain-soaked trench coat, her hair clinging to her cheeks. She looked mid-30s, sharp-eyed, calm, with a voice that cut through the room like cold air. "Mr. Vale, my name is Mara. I'm a reporter." She dropped a recorder on his desk. "I think you know why I'm here." Derek forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You think I killed Thomas?" "I think Thomas found something you didn't want him to show the world," she replied, sitting down without waiting to be invited. "And I think he's not the only one who's dead because of it." Derek's hand twitched toward the cigarettes. "You've been digging in dangerous ground," he said. "The company's reach is long." Mara tilted her head. "So, I've heard. But you can't threaten smoke, Mr. Vale. It slips through fingers." She leaned forward. "I've got proof. The prototype, the one you said was destroyed. The one Thomas tested before he disappeared. It's still active." Derek froze. He'd watched that lab burn down himself. "That's impossible." "You of all people should know," she said. "Nothing really burns away. Not when there's profit to be made." She pulled out a small metal cylinder, silver and sleek. The same device Thomas had once shown off in a haze of confidence. "Recognize this?" Derek's stomach turned. "Where did you get it?" "A storage locker rented under your fake subsidiary's name," she said. "Thomas left me coordinates before he died. Said if anything happened to him, to follow the smoke. I thought it was poetic. Then I realized it was literal." Derek reached for the prototype, but she pulled it back. "Careful," she warned. "He said it was cursed." Derek scoffed, though the sweat on his neck betrayed his fear. "You believe that crap?" "I believe what I saw," she said, her tone steady. "When I turned it on, it projected faces in the vapor, faces of people who shouldn't be alive." Silence stretched between them. Then Derek said quietly, "It's not what you think. It's not a hallucination device. It's an imprint. The smoke records memory, emotion, even thought. It's not just a marketing trick, it's a way to make people believe they're happy, to make addiction feel like nostalgia." "You're describing mind control," she said. "I'm describing business," he replied bitterly. Thomas wanted to stop it. He thought he could expose the truth, but he didn't realize this technology isn't evil. People want the illusion. They beg for it. Mara shook her head. "You sound like a man trying to convince himself he didn't sell his soul." Derek smirked faintly. "Maybe I didn't sell it. Maybe it was taken." He reached into his drawer and pulled out another pack, identical to the one on the desk, but older, worn. "Do you know what this was called before we rebranded it as Lucent? Smoke Rings. The test product, the one that could make you see things when you inhaled. It didn't just calm nerves, it opened doors." "Doors?" Mara repeated. "To the other side," he whispered. Mara's jaw tightened. "You expect me to believe your cigarettes are haunted?" "Not haunted," Derek said. "Just inhabited. Smoke remembers. Every breath someone takes, every exhale, it lingers. When we tried to harness it, something answered back. Something that didn't like being bottled." She laughed once nervously. "That's convenient." But before she could say more, the prototype in her hand began to hum softly, a low static vibration. Wisps of smoke drifted from the vents, twisting through the air in serpentine ribbons. The office lights flickered. The smoke coalesced, forming shapes. Eyes, lips, outlines of faces screaming silently. Mara dropped it, stumbling back. Derek didn't move. He just stared, hollow-eyed as the faces multiplied, forming a dense fog that smelled faintly of burnt paper and cologne. "Thomas?" he murmured. And then, from the smoke, a voice rasped, "You can't bury the past, Derek." Mara backed toward the door, horrified. "What is this?" Derek whispered. "Proof." The fog surged forward, wrapping around him like a lover's embrace. For a heartbeat, he smiled, almost peacefully. Then his body went rigid. His mouth opened, and smoke poured from it in thick black tendrils. His skin blistered, veins darkening as though tar was running through them. The smoke devoured him, folding into itself, until all that was left was an empty suit and a faint metallic taste in the air. Mara ran. The prototype clattered to the floor, still exhaling faint curls that twisted into shapes resembling Thomas's face, whispering something she couldn't quite hear. She didn't stop running until she was outside, gulping the wet city air. She turned back once. Through the high window, she thought she saw movement, a shadow standing where Derek had been, watching her through the glass. And behind that shadow, faint but real, words appeared scrawled in vapor across the pane. "The deal's still burning." Mara didn't sleep for 2 nights. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw smoke curling under the door of her motel room, whispering shapes that almost formed her name. The hum of the city outside was a dull drone, but inside she felt hunted by something she couldn't see. On the second night, she decided to stop running. She set her recorder on the bedside table, sat down with her laptop, and began typing. The Vale Corporation. Mind control through nicotine technology. She wrote for hours, hands shaking, her mind buzzing with fragments of Thomas's last messages, Derek's confessions, and the faces she had seen forming in the vapor. The prototype sat on the desk beside her, dormant now, though a faint light pulsed deep inside it like a heartbeat. She told herself she would hand everything over in the morning, evidence, files, recordings. Get out of the city, disappear. She'd done her job. But the longer she stared at the blinking cursor, the less sure she felt. She thought about Thomas, his idealism, his obsession with truth, and about Derek, who died insisting the illusion was what people really wanted. Maybe both men were right. Maybe the truth wasn't something you could publish. Maybe it was something that consumed you. A soft hiss interrupted her thoughts. The light inside the prototype had grown brighter, threads of smoke spilling from the vents like steam. She froze. "Not again," she whispered. But it was too late. The vapor slithered upward, coiling into the shape of a hand. It brushed her shoulder gently, almost tenderly. Then a voice, Thomas's voice, filled the room. "You found it, didn't you?" Mara's breath caught. "Thomas?" The smoke pulsed, forming the vague outline of a man's face. "You shouldn't have opened it. It's not just technology, it's memory. Every inhale connects us. Every puff carries pieces of who we were. When Derek tried to refine it, he made the connection permanent." She backed away. "You're not real." "Does it matter?" the voice said. "You remember me. That's all it takes. You breathe. I live." She shook her head. "What do you want?" "To finish what we started," Thomas said. "To burn the company down. To free them." The smoke twisted toward the laptop, its misty tendrils flicking across the keys, opening files, erasing lines, rewriting her report in his words. "The truth is a fume. It spreads." Mara reached for the device, desperate to shut it off, but when she touched it, pain shot up her arm, like electricity and frost at once. The room blurred. Suddenly, she wasn't in the motel anymore, but standing in a vast glass hallway filled with silhouettes. Every person she'd ever seen smoking stood there, exhaling stories that became fog. Their faces turned toward her, eyes blank, but leading. "You see?" Thomas said behind her. Every puff they took carried a thought, a memory. We trapped them in the haze. "What happens if I destroy it?" she asked, clutching her arm. "Then you destroy us." She hesitated. "You're already dead." A pause, then a sad smile in the vapor. "So are you." The hallway shattered. She gasped awake on the motel floor, coughing. The air smelled thick and sweet, like burnt sugar. The prototype lay cracked beside her, leaking a steady plume of gray smoke. It crawled up the walls, forming words again, letters writhing before her eyes. "Breathe in." Mara stared, trembling. Then, as if in a trance, she picked up the cigarette pack Derek had left her in the office. She hadn't noticed until now that it was the same brand, Lucent, but the foil was marked with the same silvery eye, the same symbol. She peeled the seal. Inside, one cigarette glowed faintly at the tip, lit from within by some unseen ember. Thomas's voice echoed faintly. "Finish the story." She should have thrown it away. She should have run. Instead, she put it between her lips and took a single drag. The smoke filled her lungs like velvet fire. For a heartbeat, she saw everything. The boardrooms, the factories, the faces of the addicted, the shimmering field of human desire woven together by vapor. She saw Derek standing in the fog beside Thomas, both smiling as if finally at peace. "Yasinishit." Then she exhaled. The room disappeared in a rush of wind. When the motel clerk found the room the next morning, it was empty. The window was open, the curtains fluttering, and the only thing left on the desk was a single cigarette, still smoking, though no one was there to hold it. The laptop was gone. So was the recorder. 3 days later, the Vale Corporation rebranded once again. Their press release described a new, immersive lifestyle product called Smoke Wrings 2.0, a nostalgic sensory therapy designed to connect users to the essence of memory. The CEO giving the announcement was a woman named Mara Vale. Her eyes gleamed like silver when she smiled. As the camera cut away, a familiar voice, dry, sardonic, echoing from the shadows, spoke to the audience, that unmistakable crypt keeper rasp. "Well, boils and ghouls, looks like our little reporter finally made a name for herself by inhaling the competition. Guess when it comes to corporate smoke and mirrors, she decided if you can't clear the air," a raspy laugh, "then just become part of the haze." The laughter rose and faded into the static of an old television. A curl of gray smoke drifted across the screen, shaping the final words before vanishing into black.